Welcome to this explainer. Right out of the gate, we're stepping far away from the usual noise of the digital asset space to look at something built entirely differently. Today, we're exploring the architecture of a premium digital kingdom known as KINGFINITY, or by its ecosystem token, KFX. Now, if you've been following Web3 for any amount of time, you know exactly how chaotic it can be. Well, this project is attempting to bring a level of luxury, discipline, and institutional structure that is, frankly, incredibly rare to see. So let's just dive right in and see how they're building this ecosystem from the ground up.
Consider the core philosophy driving this whole movement. Most people chase hype. We build legacy. Most people follow noise. We build kingdoms. What a cold open, right? It immediately sets a cinematic, visionary foundation for everything we're about to cover. They're deliberately rejecting those fast-paced, exhausting cycles of the crypto market in favor of building something much, much more permanent.
Section 1. Hype versus real legacy.
To truly grasp KINGFINITY, we first have to understand the specific problem they're tackling. We all know the digital asset market is notoriously exhausting. It demands your constant attention for short-term trends that usually vanish as quickly as they appear. But building a real legacy, that requires intense discipline. And the paradigm shift here is massive. On one end of the spectrum, you have traditional black box finance, where capital allocation decisions are totally hidden behind closed doors. And on the far other end, fleeting meme hype with literally zero foundational structure. Both of those ultimately fail the average participant. But the KINGFINITY approach centers entirely on Treasury transparency and ecosystem utility. It's about creating transparent ecosystems where you can actually observe the structural value and operational sustainability.
So what you absolutely need to take away from this is that KINGFINITY is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Moving from fleeting market noise to a disciplined, transparent digital ecosystem is a total culture shift. It requires a long-term vision, patience, and active, verified ecosystem participation. It's about changing the very DNA of how a digital community operates.
Section 2. The KINGFINITY Digital Ecosystem.
Having established their philosophy, let's look at the actual architecture, the documentary-style framework that makes up this premium Web3 brand. There are 5 foundational pillars holding up this digital kingdom. First, the premium Web3 ecosystem itself, heavily defined by a distinct luxury visual language. Second, the KFX ecosystem token, which is your key to participation. Third, community rewards, specifically engineered to drive disciplined, organic growth. Fourth, the Treasury transparency framework, which is honestly their most unique feature. And finally, KINGFINITY Insights, providing serious market intelligence and news. Every single one of these pillars is engineered for long-term ecosystem thinking rather than short-term gambling.
You can actually feel the visual weight of the master brand identity. That crowned, circular infinity logo, the striking gold and black, the royal symbolism, it's not just there for aesthetics. It represents authority, wealth architecture, and a legacy that aims to go beyond the limit. It's a true visual commitment to their premium, institutional approach. When you see this branding, you immediately know this isn't just another random token launch.
Section 3. Treasury Transparency Framework.
I mentioned this framework a moment ago, and it really is the engine of the entire ecosystem. It's built purely around visibility, observation, and structural integrity. Let's define this super clearly. The Treasury Transparency Framework is a public model illustrating long-term market observation, portfolio structure, and capital allocation visibility. Notice what is specifically missing there. There's absolutely zero language about passive income, guaranteed yields, or profit-sharing dividends for token holders. Instead, this framework serves as a public window into the ecosystem's structural sustainability. It's an educational, transparent way to show how capital systems can be built and observed openly on the blockchain.
To give you a real idea of what they're observing through this framework, consider these target global portfolio concepts. We're talking about globally diversified real-world sectors. We have financial institutions like Allianz and Munich Re, real estate investment trusts like Realty Income, industrials like Mercedes and Toyota, right through to utilities, consumer staples, and technology giants like Microsoft and Apple. This showcases a highly institutional, real-world approach to capital allocation. It completely grounds the project in reality.
Let me reiterate why this matters so much. The Treasury model exists purely for operational support. It's focused entirely on ecosystem growth, verifiable on-chain activity, and optional liquidity operations. The goal is to support the operational sustainability of the KINGFINITY ecosystem itself. It's a long-term operational backbone, folks, not a yield-generating product.
Section 4. The KFX Utility Token.
Now for the digital asset that actually powers participation within this meticulously structured kingdom, the flagship ecosystem token, KFX. They've chosen to build this on the Solana blockchain, which makes a ton of sense given Solana's low fees, high speed, and incredibly strong retail environment. Now, KFX has a strict, fixed supply of exactly 1 billion tokens. There is no inflation, no further minting. It is designed purely as an ecosystem access and utility token.
The tokenomics here are just incredibly clean and institutional. A massive 40% is dedicated right to Treasury operations to ensure ecosystem sustainability. 20% is for public distribution, 15% goes to liquidity infrastructure, and another 15% to community rewards. Finally, a very modest 10% is allocated to the team and founders. When you see 40% locked for Treasury and liquidity operations, you know for sure you're looking at a system engineered for long-term stability.
So, what does ecosystem participation actually look like with KFX? Well, beyond that fixed supply and the Solana infrastructure, holding KFX is your key to accessing specific community initiatives. It opens the door to future governance participation and various ecosystem-related utility functions. Fundamentally, it's a tool for digital participation in community building. You'll hold it to be a part of the kingdom.
Section 5. A royal community culture. Of course, an architecture is just an empty building without the people inside it. To drive organic community growth, they've built a media engine driven by 3 core archetypes. First, representing strategy, discipline, and authoritative vision, we have the Kingmaker. Then, the Queenmaker represents community loyalty, trust, and ecosystem culture. And the third archetype driving their content is the Neon Prophet, embodying innovation, AI, and that viral Web3 momentum. It's a highly cinematic way to build a brand identity that people can truly connect with.
And here's the best part. The community is actively rewarded for engaging with that narrative through verified activity. This step-by-step community growth program is brilliant. You start as a community member, rewarded with 1,000 KFX just for basic engagement. You can then step up to Community Builder for 5,000 KFX by actively interacting. Become a Kingdom Ambassador for 10,000 KFX by creating content and inviting others. And the absolute top tier is Legendary Supporter, earning 25,000 KFX for high-level contributions like writing articles or making videos. It's an incredibly organic way to build real loyalty. All of this community activity feeds into a much grander narrative they call the Road to Genesis. It's a documented, build-in-public journey of transparency, infrastructure, and legacy building. And all of this is leading up to a highly specific, targeted launch date, October 7th, 2026. They are framing this moment not just as another token launch, but quite literally as the dawn of a new kingdom.
Section 6. Beyond the Limit.
It's time to bring all of these architectural elements together. The Treasury framework, the tokenomics, the community culture, these are the guiding philosophy and core brand values of the KINGFINITY ecosystem. Transparency, discipline, freedom, and legacy. This ecosystem is specifically designed to appeal to long-term visionaries. It's for people who value rigorous structure over chaos, who want to see capital allocation out in the open, and who genuinely want to build something that lasts.
And because discipline and transparency are so paramount to their identity, they proudly present this mandated disclaimer right up front. And I want to read it to you directly. KFX is not equity, not debt, not profit participation, and does not guarantee returns or future token value. Participation is community-based and subject to verification. Presenting this so clearly is the ultimate proof of their rigorous discipline. It ensures everyone understands they are participating in a pure utility ecosystem, completely separating KINGFINITY from the typical hype and false promises of the broader market. So, having seen the architecture of this project, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. Will you continue chasing the noise, or are you ready to help build a lasting digital kingdom? The KINGFINITY vision challenges absolutely everything about how Web3 ecosystems are traditionally built. It's a fascinating, bold experiment in transparency and structure. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. And as always, stay curious and keep exploring.